everybody. Thanks for joining in today. I am Iris Mora. And today's movie I want to discuss is called Real Women Have Curves. Before we get into that, I want to say thank you to Not Real Soda for sponsoring the podcast. It's not real, so there's no real calories. Now, getting back to it. As always on this podcast, we discuss movies and dissect their themes. And today is when I can give you a little information about my life speaking as a Mexican American. So let's just start talking about it. A little background on the movie to begin. Real Women Have Curves was made in 2002, and it was an American comedy drama directed by Patricia Cardoso. A synopsis given by IMDb summarizes this movie by explaining that in East LA, our main character, Anna, is an 18-year-old who is struggling between her ambitions of going to college while also having to balance her domineering mother who wants her to get married, have children, and oversee their family company. I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of people of color, deal with this feeling a lot. Even now, I still have to talk to my mom about this stuff, about, the whole having a boyfriend, getting married, settle down. I've never, ever shown interest in dating. I've never dated anyone, and I don't really feel like it. It's too much work. I'm very selfish. I think about myself a lot. I'd rather spend money on me than a child or someone else. I'm sorry. That's just how I am. I have a nephew, too. I've seen it all. I don't want that. That's not my life. Anyways, let me provide y'all with some words I want to introduce you to. Maybe you have heard of them, maybe you haven't. If not, let me give you a little refresher. They're called individualism and collectivism. In a book called Individualism and Collectivism by Harry C. Triandes, he describes individualism as a social pattern that consists of loosely linked individuals who view themselves as independent of collectives. They're primarily motivated by their own preferences, their needs, their rights, and the contracts they establish with others, and they emphasize rational analyses of these advantages and disadvantages of associating with others. So let's just run that down, make it a little more simple. Individual means one person, and that's basically the root of this concept. This single person is usually brought up and taught that individuality and independence is important. And doing things on your own is important, and everything is single, and everything is singular, and yada, yada, yada. Just do it by yourself. Now, I'd ask you to guess what collectivism is, but I'm pretty nice. So I'll also add in that definition for you too, for free. In the same book I mentioned before, collectivism may be defined as a social pattern consisting of closely linked individuals who see themselves as part as one or more collectives. They're willing to give priority to the goals of these collectives over their own personal goals. Okay, so when we think about it, collectivism, a collected group, it's a unit, we're tight, we're homies, we're best buds. Individualism, you kind of have to think, you're wishy-washy. I like them, yeah, I like that person, but am I willing to put their needs before my own? No, or yes, depending on who you are. One just prefers being on top, the other is like, I'm thinking of as a unit. We're all together. We're family. We're all in this together. Not sponsored by High School Musical. Sorry. Let me get back to it. Do you want to know who collectivism usually falls on? It's usually not people in Western society. To bring another movie to example, I don't want to be rude, but let me thrash on Lady Bird. I don't feel strongly about this movie, okay? I'm going to be honest. I don't like it that much, but let me thrash on it for a bit. So this follows a teenage white girl, American. She has a bad relationship with her mama. She wants to move away, become her own person, see the sights of the world because her town is just too boring. No offense, but it's like every other movie that stars a white teenager. So, in this movie, Real Women Have Curves, we have a Mexican-American girl who essentially kind of wants the same thing. The biggest difference is their views on the matter. Anna grows up in a Mexican household where staying together is important. They value community. We need to stick together. And this is something that Anna really struggles with. The feeling of wanting to leave, but you can't. You're stuck. Your family's holding you back. Your priorities are holding you back. You really want to get out there, see the world, but you can't because you're stuck here. Lady Bird, like all coming-of-age movies that focus on Western society, puts this sense of rebellion, puts this sense of independence. It's like it's important that you go off and do everything on your own. It's important that you leave your family and you discover who you are. But that's just not something everyone can have. Growing up in an ethnic household, a lot of the times you're expected to stay, and if you leave, you're going to come back anyways. because you're gonna have to take care of your family when when your parents get older. You know, there's no real sense of independence. Showing films like Lady Bird makes you feel like you have to leave and you have to do something, and it's easier to do that when individualism and independence is very valued in your household. But if you're not, and you see everyone around you get to do all this, you kind of feel left out. Like, why can't I do that? What's wrong with me? Right? Here's a little anecdote. I wanted to go to SJSU. That is true. There are things that, were also keeping me here, like money, and I did want to stay with my family, but overall, the decision was mine. I wanted to stay here. My other friends, not to point out, but they were white, they were white. They really wanted to move out. They went somewhere else. They went out of state. And when I told them I was staying here and I was gonna stay living with my parents, they kind of looked down on me. They're like, "You're kind of mooching off of them. You're not doing things on your own. You're not making your own moves." And to me, my parents didn't have a problem with that. When I talked to my other friends who they were people of color, their parents also didn't have a problem with that. So I was like, maybe the problem isn't me. Maybe I'm not at fault. But it just kind of made you feel a little split second of I feel bad because maybe I am mooching off my parents. But they don't mind. I stay home, I cook, I clean, I help out. I do my part. I do my part. Okay, so that was just me talking about the synopsis. I'm very passionate about this movie after seeing it, so I'm sorry. Okay, let me start explaining what the movie is. Let me give you a little basis. Let me give you some stacks, and then I'll go in on the theme. Let me set the mood. In one of the first scenes, we get Estela, Anna's older sister, calling Anna in to check on her mother. Her mother's name is Carmen. And her mother is, in fact, using her illness to get Anna to stay with her by saying, "Oh, my arthritis is acting up." And she does have it, but she's kind of playing it up, when you get sick and you're like, "I can't go to school." That's basically what she's doing. Anna refuses, explaining that she won't miss her mother acting up with these illnesses. And her mom proceeds to be like, "You are ungrateful. You are a little brat." So we can see that her mother holds these very collectivistic values dear to her when we see Anna, who grew up in America, and she does go to Beverly Hills. Remember she lives in East LA, so she has to take a bunch of buses, but she goes to Beverly Hills School, which is a primarily white not infested. I'm sorry, that was rude. It primarily has white kids. So she sees all this, and you can kind of tell that she kind of wants the same independence they have. She kind of always wanted it. And then the following scenes, we get I really like the scenes where we get to just kind of look at the neighborhood because you kind of see the difference. East LA, a lot of Mexicans, you see a lot of the community all together. They're all hanging out. She says hi to elders as she passes by her neighbors. And then on her bus, we get to other communities, and you kind of still see that it's run down with every bus ride until she gets to Beverly Hills, which is more like a nicer area, very pretty, a lot of white people. And before that, you kind of see Mexicans, you see Asians, you see, you know, um, just a bunch of different ethnic households all together. And then you get to Beverly Hills, and it's just kind of a bunch of white people, and then it's super nice and pretty. After this little montage of her getting to school, we see Mr. Guzman, played by George Lopez, aka Mr. Electric. He asked Anna where her college apps are. I hope that brings back good memories for everyone, great time. Anyways, Anna explains she isn't going to college and she blames it on money. And Mr. Guzman's like, "You're a very intelligent woman. You should go. You should get your education." But Anna's like, "I can't. I can't be doing that." So after we learn Anna isn't going to college, she quits her job because she didn't get along with the manager. Her mother finds out because moms have a sixth sense when you do something wrong or when you do something they don't like. They just know. And this was all at her party where she calls her out. So um, her mom kind of guilt trips Anna at her party, being like, because her sister Estela, yes, sorry, Estela owns a factory where they sew clothes, and so her mom kind of guilt trips her and goes, "Anna, if you don't stay, who's gonna help the family? Who's gonna help your sister with everything? If you have to work because you quit your job, you have to stay and work at the factory." It's a little good old guilt trip. Ethnic household mothers really are the ones who really use this tactic to their advantage. Once again, kind of going back to the whole idea of being a unit and staying together, a professor in the Netherlands named, I'm sorry, excuse my pronunciation, Professor Kalmagen, explains that about 1 in 5 adult children experience feelings of guilt towards their aging mothers, based on data from a nationally representative survey of 2,450 Dutch adults in 2015 who have a mother aged 55 or older. So many times in a household like this, you have a lot of feelings for your mom. It's now, you very much love her and you feel like you can't hate her. Even when she pulls things like this on you, you're like, "Ooh, you really got me." Yeah, and then you feel bad when you try to express your anger and you're like, "You know what? I gotta hold back because I know my mama gave up a lot to get me here." Especially in an ethnic household. Your mom traveled here to give you opportunities, to give you a better life. So like you kind of think like I can't talk back, but you kind of upset me a little bit, kind of makes you feel really bad for harvesting that hate, but it builds up, and later on, when your mom gets old, it kind of get you kind of feel guilty because you see how your mom is, and you're like, she did a lot for me, even though she did hurt my feelings. Anyways, so after her little party, we learn that Anna's mom, Carmen, thinks that college is kind of a waste of time. We kind of see that Carmen thinks college isn't going to teach her valuable things. And anything that college can teach, Godman can teach. But these principles that she wants to teach Anna are things like cooking, raising children, getting married, all the important factors that Godman thinks are, part of life. We scoff now, guys, but we know we are worth more than that, than just being obedient little ladies, doing all those things, having to, take care of kids and all. But a lot of the times, immigrant mothers were put in their place, especially growing up, and that was their place. That was their role. And they had to learn that it was difficult to get out of that situation. You couldn't really just escape and be like, I am independent and I'm going to start doing what I want. Especially when you're married and you just grew up in that kind of environment, that's just kind of how you stay. In a study, it explains that 85% of foreign born Hispanics say that children are better off if a parent is at home, which explains that a lot of the times the mothers are stay at home moms. They stayed home, and that's probably uh, what's it? That's probably like the mentality that Carmen has for Anna, that like you stay home. You stay home and you're gonna take care of your kids. You don't need to go to college, you need to find a husband, you need to get pregnant, do all that. Of course, this isn't what Anna wants. She wants to go to school, she wants to learn, she wants to try new things, but that's just not how her mother was raised. So, there's a little back and forth. So that's kind of the base of Anna's life. Now we could talk about the bigger points that happen throughout the movie. So there's a lot of different keys that we can talk about. Carmen's resentment with Anna. We can look at the views versus Carmen's views versus Anna's. There's a lot of different subjects we could go through, but we're going to focus on those two, collectivism and Western views, in accordance to this film. So, starting with Carmen's resentment, a lot of the time throughout the movie, we get Carmen's resentment towards Ana. In a book titled Mother and Daughter in Post-Revolution Mexican Literature by Teresa Hurley, where a mother is so torn when she sees her daughter fighting for independence. She wants that or wanted that, and now she feels it's way too late to get it herself. Carmen, in the scene, in an early scene, deems it unfair that she has been working since she was 13 years old, and here comes Anna, who's 18, and she just wants to not work and go to school. And that can harvest a lot of resentment because Carmen's like, I've been doing this, I've been working, and Anna just gets to run around. It's not fair. That's how Carmen sees it. And yeah, like that is a little childish. You're her mom. You're supposed to want her to grow up and do big things, but like it's kind of like, she just has that kind of mentality that like, well, I did this and I grew up fine. I want Anna to do the same thing. And then there's another time Carmen also uses a lot of tactics to get Anna to listen to her. She says a lot of things like, I've done so much for you, and this is how you repay me. You want to leave? She has kind of that kind of gaslighting, a little manipulation, being like, you have to stay here because you can't just walk out on me if after I've given you so many opportunities, you had a better life than me. Um, she kind of just uses a lot of tactics like that. And we can move on to Carmen's view versus Anna's view. In love, which is very important throughout this entire thing, Carmen is always seen as judgmental. we're gonna focus on familial love, family love. We'll talk about like romantic later. Godwin is always seen as judgmental, like a lot of Hispanic mothers are. That's kind of how they show their love by being like, "You're getting a little chubby. You need to lose weight." That's how they show you their love, which is messed up. Okay, it sounds crazy, but it's true. You know, in a scene, Godwin always, and not even just one scene, a lot of scenes. Godwin always talks about Anna's weight, which clearly makes Anna uncomfortable, especially in the beginning. And it's not just um Anna she makes fun of. She makes fun of like ladies at her work too, calling them gorda, fat, stuff like that. Not a meat on their bones. It's a common thing in Latino culture to want your daughter to be eligible. And to be eligible for marriage, you want them to look the part. And a lot of sorry, stumbled there. A lot of minds, it's kind of you got to be skinny to be eligible. I've been subjected through this my whole entire life. Okay, my sister has too, and it hurt a lot. But it gets to a point where it's like, yeah, make all the fun you want, pero yo voy a comer mi pastelito con mis conchitas y un vaso de atole. Y no puedes decir nada. Nope. I should put translations of that. I'm sorry. I just basically said I'm gonna eat what I want, and you can't do nothing about it. That's basically it. When Anna get there's another scene where we get to see a little tenderness between Carmen and Anna. So when Anna gets burned by the iron, because now she's working at the factory, her job is to basically iron out the clothing after they finish like making the entire dress. So she just irons it out to make sure they're nice and pretty and smooth out. So she burns herself on the iron, and Carmen rushes over, says a little remedy. Let me quote it for you. Sana, sana, colita de rana. Si no sanes hoy, sanes mañana. It means heal, heal, little tail of frog. If you don't heal today, you'll heal tomorrow. It sounds a lot better in Spanish, okay? Don't be saying the English version around me. Sing it in Spanish or only that. Um, Another thing they have is work, the way they view work. Anna is viewed as very stuck up because when she starts working at the factory, she calls it as it is. These ladies are paid $18 per dress, making the entire dress, okay? They're making everything. Well, they're being sold at Bloomingdale's for $600 each. And Anna calls it out and the workers start talking about it. And it's like, dude, it really is unfair. She's calling it like it is, saying that they're just being cheap laborers. And Bloomingdale's, the company, is like taking advantage of them, and it's just like you can tell that like the workers there don't really see it the same way as Anna does. Anna's like, hey man, that wasn't fair what they're doing to us, but they're like, oh my god, she's like, she does this, blah blah blah. Like just do your work. And another part of Godman's love, which also kind of shows that she doesn't really understand like the work and the kind of the stress that Estella is going through, is that Carmen will work for free even after Estella loses for four seamstresses because she loves her daughter. Well, and she even says like, "What mother would I be if I didn't help my daughter who's struggling?" So she knows she's struggling, but she doesn't kind of get it because she also always like pulls them away to tell them cheese, to tell them gossip, be like, "Look what I heard. Listen to what I heard, okay? Come here, stop doing your work and listen to me." And you can tell it gets Estella really upset. She's like, "Come on, guys, we gotta work. We gotta pull through this. We gotta get these orders in." But her mom's kind of like, "No, no, no. Let me tell you. Let me tell. Okay, when are you gonna tell your mom to stop it? No, you gotta let her go. You gotta let her gossip. Another thing they see differently is marriage and sex. So Carmen sees marriage as sacred, and sex should only be after two people are united as one. She believes no man would want a woman that has already had sex and is no longer a virgin, and the woman is there to serve and honor her husband. Anna believes a woman is not tied to how much sex she's had, that she's her own person who has thoughts and ideas. So after Anna loses her virginity to Jimmy, a classmate, who we'll get a little more into about later, they really liked each other. They went out secretly, so no one knew. Anna was like kind of hiding it. She was going out, and basically her mom calls her out and basically calls her a tramp because she didn't save herself. And then Anna gives her the iconic line that there is more to her than what is between her legs. You know, and there's also parts where Carmen, who's an older woman, is going through menopause, but she didn't know what that was. So for a time, she really thought she was pregnant. She was like, I haven't gotten my period in 4 months. Anna, you're gonna be a sister. Sorry, she already is an older sister. You're gonna be a big sister. But like, no, that's not it. She has menopause. And when she finds out, she's very depressed because she's like, she feels like she lost her worth as a woman because she could no longer produce children. And Anna's like, come on, mom, you know it's not like that. But Godwin truly believes she's no longer worthy of being called a woman. In general, Godwin believes a woman's body is sacred and that every woman should be presentable. And there's a scene where the factory workers are very hot because it's very, very hot in there. They can't put on the fan because the dust gets on the clothing. And Estela is like, don't do that. Don't turn on the fan. We will die in this boiling heat. I'd rather have that than ruin these dresses. So Anna gets naked. She is in her bra and in her underwear. And she's like, I don't care. I'm really hot. And she calls out the other workers. There's like one, two, like three of them, including okay, four of them, including Estela and Carmen. And she's all like, "Ladies, just take it off. Who cares?" And Carmen's like, you can't do that because you can't just be naked. What if someone comes in? Don't you respect yourself? Like, especially because a lot of you are kind of like, besides one, Carmen basically calls the rest of them fat, very big, and she kind of shames them for that. But Anna's like, who cares? It's our body. Like, I'm fat. I don't care. And so Estela's like, me too. I'm also, I got meat on my bones. And, they all kind of get together after that. And they're all kind of cool with each other. And Godwin walks away super angrily because she doesn't really understand that whole, like, mentality that, like, it's okay to be okay with your body. We're beautiful the way we are. Because, she kind of doesn't feel that way about herself. And she just wants her daughters to feel that way. But kind of more in her sense where it's like, you're skinny, so you're beautiful. Another concept we have is religion. This one specifically talks about Godman, like Godman's view, because Anna doesn't really talk about it that much. But basically, Godman put San Antonio down for both her daughters. Let me give you a little bit of knowledge. My mama knows a lot about saints, so I called her up. I asked her, and she basically told me that San Antonio is known for a lot of things, but especially marriage and love. So Carmen has one upright for Ana and one upside down for Estela. What's the difference, you ask? Sorry, you don't have the voice. You have beautiful voice. What's the difference, you ask? When San Antonio is upside down, it is believed that he will work faster for you. And when you take away his baby, it's supposed to bring someone back to you. So for a long time, Carmen had put one upside down for Estela, and she kind of just like was like, "Oh, it's too late for her. It's far too late. Just forget it." So she takes it down. She's like, "Estela's never gonna get married. She already has her job. It's too late for her." But Carmen, Anna is our only hope. So for Anna, she has it upright. She doesn't put the San Antonio upside down, but she takes away the baby. She takes it away, which means that someone's gonna come at you faster. Which is crazy because we just talked about Anna having sex. So if anything, Carmen, San Antonio, blame him. You took his baby. Bring him back. Anyways, a little more about religion. The factory workers. So in the factory, they have like a little mantle where they place pictures of their loved ones that have died, and they pour them a shot of tequila. And I don't know if I'm not really sure if any other religion does that, but we do that. My household does that. On the anniversary of my grandmother, my mother's mother, death, we always, not me, okay, I'm only 20, I don't do it. I have a shot of Sprite, and we all pour each other one. We like, salute, we cheers, and then we drink it. And then we do it in front of her picture, and we pour her one, and we put her little conchitas there. And, sorry, really close to my grandma. Loved her. And we put flowers down for her too. All her favorite things. We do that for her anniversary. We also do that for Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, as well. It's a nice little thing. Kind of, it brings me a little bit of warmth and comfort. Now we can get into collectivism. So, in the scenes with any scene with like the factory workers, we can tell that they're one unit. A lot of them are related to others. The four seamstresses that I said left, and that was because one of them was getting married and they were all moving back to Mexico, which was what her mother wanted. They wanted to go back to their roots, where they grew up. And those four seamstresses were all related to each other. There was the main one who was getting married, her two sisters, and then her mother was working there. And so once they leave, Estela tells the other workers that are staying there, like, I can't afford to pay you guys because I just we lost half our workers, they're gone. And the other workers, because they are a family, are like, it's fine. I need to get paid. I still need to get paid, but we'll give you time and we'll keep working because we're tight, we're unit. Um, and so in the end, well, not at the end yet, but I gotta give you guys a little background. So Anna does end up turning in her college application because she's like, I gotta at least try. I gotta see if this works out. So much to Mr. Guzman's like, yes, we got a smart, intelligent woman. She's working. She's putting in the work. So he gives it to the dean. He's tight with the dean, I guess. And then she gets accepted to Columbia University, which is in New York. Mr. Guzman, George Lopez, our king, comes in and he's all like, ladies and gentlemen, to her entire family, she's been accepted. We're all good to go. She can go. But her family, well, everyone except her mom is very excited until they learn that she's gonna have to go to New York because everyone, especially her mother, sees it as her, breaking up the family. They're not going to be a family anymore if Anna moves away. And I was like, I don't understand how how this good news means I'm breaking up the family if I move away. We're still going to be related. We're still going to be together. I don't understand. And good old mama comes in with the guilt trip, being like, "Don't you care about your abuelo, who in the movie we see they're very close. Anna and her grandfather are very close. He's basically the one who let her go out with Jimmy because he would be like, "Oh, we're going to the movies, so don't worry, we're gonna go to the movies." And then she would go hang out somewhere, and she would go be with Jimmy. So they're very close, very tight. And so Anna loves him very much. So she's like, you know what, forget it, I'll stay. And Godman also says that like, Anna, what about the factory? You see how much Estella's working. You see how much she's struggling. You see how much work she's putting in, and you're just gonna leave when she doesn't even have that many workers. So then, like, she's stacking all these things against her, and Anna realizes that, like, I have to stay. I have to stay here for my family. And then next, I want to kind of look at the Western views we got here, and we get this kind of difference of views between Jimmy, Anna's classmate, and Anna. So Jimmy, as I mentioned before, Anna's classmate, in a scene like before they start dating, before they start smooching, they're talking about like how living in Beverly Hills, quote unquote, because Jimmy doesn't know. He doesn't know yet that Anna lives in East LA. He basically tells her like it's too easy here, lifestyle wise, everything is handed to him on a silver platter. His car, his dad gave it to him, a job, his uncle gave it to him. Easy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Keep in mind, Anna lives in East LA. We already seen her life, her factory worker life. She takes 3 buses every morning to get to that school. So obviously, the views little Jimmy has is not something Anna relates to. She's not like, yeah, no, 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 I see, very easy. No, she's like, fool, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, but it is not easy. There's like even small details when they're on the phone that you can see. Anna has to share a room with Estela, and they have like a communal computer. They have like phones, like landline phones, and like kind of connected around the house. So like if she picks it up, someone else can pick it up in here. And then Jimmy has his own room that looks way bigger than Anna's. He has his own personal phone. He has his own personal laptop. And as crusty as a 2002 Apple laptops look, it was way better than what Anna had. Just seeing like those small differences, especially as I mentioned before, as Anna was traveling from East LA all the way to Beverly Hills, you kind of just get the feeling that everything's just very different. Their point of views is very different. Let me get to the end of the movie. So at the end of the movie, Anna is able to go to Columbia University. Yay! But her mother will not see her off. Boo. She is, in fact, refuses to do that, even as Anna waits by her door, waiting for Carmen to leave her room. She waits there. She keeps knocking. Mom, I want to see you off. Dad gave me his blessing to go. I need yours. I want yours. I want your okay. But she won't. She just stays in her room. And her abuelo has to come in and be like, Anna, it's time to go. Like we're gonna be late for the plan. We gotta head out. So later, Anna takes off. we see her bye. She waves bye to her dad. She waves bye to her grandpa. She takes off, and then at the ending scene, we see her walking along New York City. And slowly from her, like, kinda, like, trudgy walk where she's kinda, like, hunched over, we see her back straighten, and we see her kinda move her arms, kind of like how her mother tried to show her, like, walk a little more womanly, walk more feminine. And I think because this is just kinda my interpretation. This family was very spiritual, and it was a factor in this movie. And I think it's like, even though her mother didn't bid her goodbye, and she couldn't tell her face to face that she gave her blessing, that she's okay with it, it's kinda like, I don't know, it's kinda like a symbolism that her mother will be there with her. Still by her side, and whatever path she walks, whatever route she takes, that is her daughter, and that she will stand by her at the end of the day. And I think that was just kind of a beautiful scene, I think it's also like a kind of a realization as well, just forgetting the spirituality part. There's a kind of a realization that Anna went through all this, and so she kind of has an understanding for her mother. Maybe her mother doesn't won't always understand what Anna's going through, but Anna does understand her mother more. Overall, great movie, 9 out of 10. I say 9 out of 10 just because I didn't really like Jimmy. That's besides the point. Sorry, Jimmy. I didn't really care for you. I think it was a great contrast view of both the parent who traveled to America for more opportunities and the view of the child who grew up in America. Anna understood more about the factory work and the strength her sister had to try to own a business and struggle financially. She was able, um, Anna was able to embrace her body, and the woman around her no longer having this need to be individualistic, but like, and they were also a factoring unit. I think it was kind of like Anna got to be kind of independent in her moving to New York, but it wasn't like, bye everyone, I don't care. It was like, guys, we're still gonna be family. It doesn't matter how far I move away, we will still be together. I will still always come back to you. You are my home no matter where I go. And I think it was just a great movie. And I recommend you guys see it too. Very good, very beautiful. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And once again, thank you to today's sponsor, Not Real Soda. Please tune in next week and we'll see what movie we're going to be discussing next time. Bye.